I saw a few videos earlier. They were talking about parenting and what you experience as a mother, and then what you experience as a married mother, and then what you experience as a single parent. And I always like to explain to people, a single woman and a single parent is two different things. Now, if you're a single parent, surfacely, it's kind of like the father isn't in the home, right? But I do personally know that there are some women who they're not married, but the father is in the child's life. They see the child, at least 5 days a week, talk to the child every day, and show up to at least 95% of everything. So when it's like that, I wouldn't consider that a single parent. And then they, of course, financially to contribute, just all the things. So I wouldn't consider that a single parent. A single parent to me more so is when you feel the struggle, and when you feel the struggle on a consistent basis. That's a single parent. When you feel the struggle, and it's especially on a consistent basis, meaning that the people that you would think will participate in a particular role, they do not. I know a lot of people kind of mesh those two things together. You're single and you're a single parent. Like, no, that's two different hats. A single woman just means, hey, I'm not in a relationship. You can't mesh those two together. And I know a lot of women do. But back to my point, I saw these videos about single parenthood, and I'm a divorcee, and it was two different videos, and it was beautiful because it showed that pain doesn't have a color, pain doesn't have a background, pain doesn't have a financial status, pain doesn't have an address. What does? Pain has an address, and it's in your heart. But this one video I saw, white woman, they both were young. Pain also doesn't have an age. They both were young, and one was a white woman, one was a black woman. The white woman, she looked like, she could have been middle class. And then the black young lady, she looked like that she was probably lower income. But their stories were like fraternal twins. And as they were talking and sharing, it let me know, like, wow, those videos represented shovels, that they were digging up things that I didn't even know that I had buried. But not so much buried on purpose and buried, of course, intentionally, but buried because when there are seasons of your life, when you're in survival mode, you can't deal with it because you have to see about your kids. And every sentence was like a shovel, a shovel, a shovel, a shovel, a shovel. And it's almost like death and mourning, how a loved one passes away predicated off of your position in their life, or more so their position that they had in your life. if you have that option to mourn, or do you have to just handle business, get things done, and you're just moving, moving, moving. Before you realize it, you are a robot in human form. And a lot of people have not even mourned, or mourned all the way through, or mourned correctively. And I don't know how many stages of grief. I don't know. It's 9, 10, 11, or 12. I don't know. And the main one I hear people talk about is anger and grief. And I don't think I've experienced that. Maybe being moody, but not angry. But even as I'm talking, how life has been, and losing best friends. When I say best friends, I'm talking about key integral people in my life. My mom, my dad, my grandparents, my amazing favorite aunt. Like, I have not had time to even mourn them properly at all. So it's just these videos brought up so many things that I did not realize was lying dormant. And I just said, wow, I need a whole IV of healing in different areas. And again, not shoving or pushing things down intentionally. Life doesn't stop. So you can't stop. And I always make a joke with some of my girl pals. I have girl pals that are in different stages of life financially. And I tell my well-off and rich girl pals, and there's nothing wrong with that. You can't be mad at someone because if they do well in life, or they marry into money, they marry well and things like that. But I explain to them, people who have an substantial line of finances, I say, you guys are the only ones who are kind of able to fall out for a moment and be okay. Fall out, have no worries. You can check yourself into a facility for 2 months and forget about life, or just put life on hold. And you can do that because the way your life is set up, you can take care of what needs to be taken care of, and you can be in another space, which is like more so like a fancy facility, just to get away. I always tell them, I said, you're just going to a hotel for 30 days, but they just call it a facility. And you're basically taking a mental health break that's set up like a spa. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. Heck, I wish I can take 30 days off and just not worry about anything but the space that I'm in. A lot of people, but more so women, would love that. Heck, a lot of us need that. But I thank God for him using anything, whether it's a video, a bird flying and hanging upside down, me seeing someone in Target and Aisle 9, a kid falling out in Walmart, someone jaywalking in the middle of the street. God will use anything to show you where you're at, to show you what you need to work on, to show you you. And it's a blessing. It is. So I thank God for social media, whatever platform you're on. YouTube, TikTok. And it's crazy how TikTok, all these platforms, it is people all over the world. And I'm a new TikTok person. I've only been on, I think, maybe 2 years. But I'm not consistent on TikTok either. YouTube I am. TikTok, I can be consistent for 6 months and then I'll be off for 4 months, then get back on. So, but what I've noticed with TikTok, some of the things I've seen as far as information, it's been powerful. It's been powerful. And the community of TikTok, what it brings to me versus other social platform forms I've been on, is second to none. But anyway, I said all that to say, even when you think you're healed in certain areas, sometimes you can think that you're healed because nothing in life has come across your path to even expose anything. I told you these 2 videos, they each represented shovels that I didn't even know of things that I had buried. And it wasn't even intentional, but still, God used that to say, hey. And I said, wow. So yeah, we can't conquer what we don't confront. And since God showed me that and exposed that to me, I'm so happy. I am. It made me so emotional and sad. I even cried a few times. I had a hard, ugly cry. And I'm still not done because I feel it like bubbling up in my chest. So, yeah. At that point, or in this point, or with this point, God is soon to come. Share the gospel. Ask God to help you stay on course to make sure that you make it in and can reign with Christ. Have a good day.